Welcome to the Debrief, where we talk with the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the headlines they're covering this week and where the story's going next. I'm Sarah Westwood, and I'm here today with senior political correspondent David Drucker. And David, this past week, Democratic Congressman Dean Phillips was the first to come out and say Joe Biden should not run in 2024, sort of voicing concerns that have been circulating privately. Other Democrats have kind of followed suit. There was sort of an awkward walk back from Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney, but what's the significance of starting to see Democrats say this out loud?
I think it's very significant when elected Democrats are willing to say they do not want the sitting president of their party to run for re-election. Now, Joe Biden is 80 years old or approaching 80 years old. If he won re-election, he would be 82, headed toward 86 at the end of his second term. My point being, there are all sorts of reasons why Joe Biden is not your normal sitting president and why Democrats, or if roles were reversed, Republicans, might say, hey, maybe we need some fresh blood, maybe we need somebody who's younger, the stability of the presidency matters, all sorts of things. But why are we really seeing this? We're really seeing this not only because of Joe Biden's age and concerns about what all of that means, but we're seeing it because his job approval numbers are below 40% on average. And when your party's leader that defines your ability to hold your own seat in the House of Representatives or in the Senate or anything else, it's going to make you really nervous, and you're going to start to reflect your constituents. Dean Phillips' constituents are not happy with Joe Biden, ergo, Dean Phillips is not happy with Joe Biden. But the reason you're seeing Democrats like Carolyn Maloney from New York say something like this is because Democratic voters are not happy with Joe Biden. Why are his numbers below 40%? Because Democratic voters are unhappy with him, not just independents, obviously not just Republicans, and that's what the big deal is here.
So we're probably past the halfway point in the primaries, especially in terms of the high-profile marquee ones that people were anticipating, but there are still some big primaries left on the calendar. Take us through what we should be watching as primary season wraps up.
Well, we've got a big primary coming up in Alaska. Now, Alaska does things differently. It's a jungle primary, an all-party primary. The top 4 finishers advance to the general election, which will then be decided by ranked choice voting. But obviously, Donald Trump hates Senator Lisa Murkowski with the rage of 1,000 suns, and has endorsed Kelly Tshibaka, the other Republican running in this race, and so I'm watching that Alaska primary, not so much because I don't expect Lisa Murkowski to get to the general election. She will, so will I suspect Kelly Tshibaka, but just like, how does she perform? What are her numbers with Republicans versus independents and Democrats? So that's one. The other one I'm paying close attention to is the Republican primary for Senate in New Hampshire. New Hampshire has a real late primary. It's after Labor Day in September. Democrats feel a lot better about Maggie Hassan, her ability to win re-election. But I want to see how she polls against whoever the eventual Republican nominee is. It'll be a short window for a campaign. Republicans would prefer to have a longer window, to have a standard bearer to go at Hassan, build that person up. But I don't think, based on how Hassan was polling earlier this cycle, that you can just say, well, the Republicans have a late primary, don't pay any attention to this. Obviously, headed back the other way to Alaska again. We've got that congressional race, the special election. Sarah Palin could be headed to Congress if she can win. That's coming up. Again, ranked choice voting. She's running against another Republican, Nick Begich, whose whole family are Democrats. They're all Democrats in the Begich family. He's the black sheep, and he's a Republican. I think we have to look at some of these outstanding primaries, such as the Wyoming primary, where Liz Cheney should be considered a big underdog in her race to win renomination and hold her congressional seat. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Harriet Hageman's going to win that. You got to hand it to Cheney. She sticks to her guns. This is what I believe. She owns it on the campaign trail. She doesn't try to be, oh, what? This is Wyoming. I'm going to talk about energy, and I'll just do that January 6th stuff when I'm in Washington. No, she just goes right at them and talks about it. I just think that in a state where Donald Trump won 70% of the vote twice, it doesn't work. It's not going to work. And then she'll be, have the final 6 months to focus on January 6th and her stewardship of that special House Select Committee. So those are the ones I'm watching. There are a few others. There's a Los Angeles mayor's race that's ongoing. I think people could pay attention to, but those are some of the races that I'm really paying attention to.
Well, David, thank you so much for being here today. You can get more reporting from David and the rest of the political team at washingtonexaminer.com.